Video number 257, triangle angle sum theorem. The first thing we need to understand is a rectangle. When it comes to a triangle and the interior angles, if we were to add these three angles together, there's a reason it's 180 degrees. And it's actually quite simple. If you were to take the four angles of a rectangle, we can definitely say that each angle is 90 degrees. That's in fact the definition of a rectangle. Therefore, if you add all four sides together, you will get 360. Now, this idea does cross into not just rectangles, but any quadrilateral. The four angles will have a sum of 360 degrees. Therefore, if you were to cut the rectangle in half, just like we've done here on a diagonal, you will then have a triangle. So we could then say that these three angles add up to 180, these three angles add up to 180 to make the 360 degrees. So that is essentially the triangle angle sum theorem. Here's the first example. How would we find the value of x here? Well, if the three angles have a sum of 180 degrees, we will then subtract those two known angles to find the third one. So we will have 180, take away the sum of 108 and 42. The sum, of course, is 150, so therefore we will subtract to get 30 degrees. The idea continues into other various problems where you have a little bit of algebra perhaps to work with. Here's one where they give you a ratio. They say, okay, if the three angles of the triangle have a ratio of 8 to 5 to 2, find the measure of each angle. So one of the angles, or well, two of the angles, you can compare them as an 8 to 2 ratio or an 8 to 5 ratio. So basically, one angle is 4 times the size of another. So this 8 to 2 relationship, this one angle is 8 times the size of this. Excuse me, 4 times the size of this, because 2 times 4 is 8. And then we also have a 5 to 2 ratio and then a 8 to 5 ratio. So therefore, we don't know how the angles are going to turn out. We do know that the sum is 180. So therefore, we will just place an x as the multiple for each part of the ratio. So we have 8x plus 5x plus 2x equals 180. We'll get a sum of 15x. We'll divide by 15 to get x equals 12. So the multiple was 12. So therefore that shortest angle, the smallest angle, would have been 24 degrees. And then of course if you multiply that by 4, you'll get 96. Or 8 times 12, 96. And then of course 5 times 12, 60. So therefore those are going to be the three angle measures. And then the idea gets practiced more in geometry, where sometimes they'll give you various algebraic expressions just to practice the idea. Maybe they tell you that one angle is 40 degrees, and then the other two angles are just some kind of algebraic expression. You'll go ahead and have the 3x plus 23 and perhaps 2x plus 12. Well, the sum is 180, so therefore we will then have an equation. Here it is. Now, in this first step, this is definitely one way to do this. There is another way. You see, the three angles do have a sum of 180, which does mean that the other two angles have a sum of 140. So I do want to point out that you could use just the two algebraic expressions to have a sum of 140. Of course, that would be kind of like subtracting 40 on both sides to get the same kind of idea. But nonetheless, either way you do it, you will get the same value for the variable. We get x as 21. You'll go back and plug the 21 in to find the various angle measures. And of course, to check your answer, you can see if the sum is in fact 180 degrees, and therefore you're in good shape. So these are the basic ideas of the angle sum theorem for geometry.